Tokyo was a city of contrasts. Ancient temples stood quietly amongst towering skyscrapers. Neon lights blazed, reflecting in the dark waters of the Sumida River. The air hummed with the energy of millions of dreams. It was a place where the past and future danced together. The streets were alive with people, even at night. Lanterns illuminated food stalls with their delicious smells. Street musicians played their melodies, their music floating on the night air. Tokyo was a city that never slept, a place of endless possibilities. Above it all, the moon shone down on the bustling city. It bathed everything in a soft silver light. It was a silent observer to the magic that unfolded every night on Tokyo's streets. Origami was a small paper crane. He sat on a shelf in a small shop, watching the world go by. He was surrounded by beautiful things, but Origami felt a yearning in his paper heart. He longed to experience the world beyond the shop window.
He watched the people as they hurried past. He saw their smiling faces and heard their excited chatter. He imagined himself flying above the city, carried by the wind, seeing all the wonders that Tokyo held.
One day, a powerful storm swept through Tokyo. The wind howled through the streets, sending rain lashing against the shop window. Suddenly, the window flew open and Origami was swept out into the stormy night. He was tossed and turned by the wind. He felt a thrill of fear, but also a sense of exhilaration. He was finally free, soaring through the air, even if it was just the middle of a storm. The wind carried Origami to a small traditional market. He landed gently on a windowsill, battered but still intact. He peered through the window and saw a woman surrounded by herbs and flowers. This was Hanako, a maker of magical teas. She had a kind face and gentle hands.
She saw Origami on her windowsill and picked him up, brushing off the rain. As she held him, she felt a strange energy emanating from the little paper crane.
Hanako decided to brew a special tea, infused with the magic of flight and the power of speech. She whispered an ancient spell into the steaming brew. Then she gently blew on the tea and offered it to Origami.
To her surprise, the little paper crane leaned forward and drank from the teacup. He felt a warmth spread through his paper body. He looked at Hanako, and for the first time, he spoke. "Thank you," Origami whispered, his paper wings fluttering. "I wish to see the world. Tonight my wish comes true."
Hanako smiled, her eyes twinkling.
"Then let us see it together," she said.
And with that, she gently lifted Origami and carried him outside. The storm had passed, leaving the night air clean and fresh. The moon painted the city silver, and the stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across a black velvet cloth. Origami felt a surge of excitement as he looked up at the night sky. He flapped his wings, testing his newfound ability, and to his delight, he lifted into the air. He soared higher and higher, with Hanako floating effortlessly beside him. They flew over ancient temples and modern towers, their laughter echoing in the night. As they flew, Hanako shared stories of Tokyo's past. She spoke of emperors and shoguns, of artists and warriors. Origami listened, his paper heart swelling with wonder. He had never imagined that such a world existed beyond his shelf. Origami, in turn, shared his own simple dreams of adventure. He spoke of his longing to see the world and experience all its beauty. S1. Hanako listened patiently, her smile as bright as the moon above. They flew until the first light of dawn began to paint the sky with hues of pink and orange. The city below them slowly began to awaken, its streets filling once more with life. It was time for Origami to return to his shelf, his heart full of memories. S2. As the sun rose, they landed gently back on Hanako's windowsill. Origami felt the magic of Hanako's tea begin to fade. S1. He knew that soon he would no longer be able to fly or speak, but he was no longer the same paper crane who had longed for adventure. He had seen the beauty of Tokyo from a perspective few could ever imagine. He had heard stories that whispered of the past and dreamed dreams of the future. He had experienced the kindness of a stranger and the magic that lived within the heart of a city. S1.
"Thank you," Origami whispered, his voice barely audible as the magic faded, "for showing me the world, for sharing its stories."
Hanako smiled and gently placed him back on the shelf. S2.
"You already had the magic within you," she said. "You just needed a little help to see it."
And with that, she returned to her work, her heart a little lighter for the encounter. Origami sat on the shelf, the morning light streaming through the window. He could no longer fly, but he carried the memory of the night flight within him. He could no longer speak, but he had stories to tell. He knew that his purpose was no longer just to sit on a shelf. He was a paper crane who had flown, who had seen the world, who had found his voice. And now, he would share his story with anyone who would listen, inspiring them to find the magic within themselves. S1.